game versus Clifton Blake Blades. We saw a few ringers, or good players on their team. So I tell Ray, let's take it easy. Let's take it slow first period, first shift. And what does he do instead? He goes in and snipes a goal. So after Ray snipes a goal, we get it passed to Alex. Should have been fine, but then loses it, and Cliff bails him out. Alright, so after Cliff bails him out, something I've noticed was maybe it's the fear of the pizza, but I think through a few games I've noticed you don't look for the center pass too often, and then you try to force it up the boards more. Here's just one example, but I think there is more, and I think it's a trend I did notice from some past games. So we may have discovered why Mike wants 2 subs. He's on D and he still goes end to end, using up all his energy. Alright, so I was talking about how we need to make use of the dump a little bit more, and here's a perfect example of it. So Ray's coming up the ice, and you can see, boom, right here, big concentration of players on that left side there, and more so as he keeps going up right here, which means, and we can also see Kathy is pretty much freedom on this right hand side. One chip up, you can do a cross corner chip or even a hard rim around the boards, and it's going to be easy zone entry right there. Instead, boom, poked off, and then right, and it's a turnover right there. So I think that's one example of being able to make use of it more. And then here's another example right on the opposite side. They're all coming over, and then instead of just getting it in or doing a reset, there's definitely room to chip or even get it down, or send it over on the cross corner and let Ray come in, or even myself go charging in. She decides to do a dilly-dally pass at the blue line, which we've always wanted to avoid, and now we're handcuffed and in big trouble. So 2 back-to-back examples on opposite wing corners. Quite interesting. Alright, we got an interesting sequence coming up. Actually, we'll start back here. I guess one of the things I want to rewind here. So it's back here, and you see how Aang pivots out like this, and I think one thing we could mix up is, rather than picking up and pivoting like that, is he gathers it up and then comes back with speed and coming back up ice like this, and I think that gives more time for everyone to reset and get down low and turn up ice together and have like a 4-person attack rather than pivoting like this. And then the big problem is, I'll show you right now, is 1 stationary player, 2 stationary players, kind of slow, and then also a 4th stationary player. Very hard to get an attack going like that. And we'll see right here, everyone's slow, and then the pass was, let's just ignore the pass not being great. But versus, let's say everyone were able to go back, right? So Aang gathers it up, gathers speed, and then all the other players kind of mark. We're going to be watching him. The moment he turns up ice, we all turn up ice together, and then have a nice modulated, like, form a couple triangles, and going up ice together with speed is going to be way more effective than this kind of stationary attack on the blue line. Okay, so enough of that. Let's continue. We fortunately get like a good bounce and get in the zone. Kathy decides to throw the puck at my leg instead of keeping it. Good poke check by Ray, was able to turn it over. Kathy throws it back down deep, and they throw it out. Aang does a good job keeping it in. It's a little scrambly here. It's all like bodies in front. And obviously Ray scored already, so he couldn't shoot. And Alex was able to keep it in. Let's see, how did he do that? Yeah, good job. So it's a bit of a scrambly play right there, and we get a goal. So now 2-0. Alright, here comes Blue Pants, one of their, I guess, ringers that were trying quite a bit harder. You can get a glimpse of what we were up against. But alright, here we go. Puck was out and sent up. Actually, it's a good example. So I've kind of said before, if you can skate as a winger towards the puck carrier, and here we go. This guy, the better player, is coming back out of the zone and he's skating down. So a lot of mistakes, well, I call it a mistake, is we just stop up and stand still. And I'm not a big fan of that. Versus just cruising back, you gather it up and then boom, now you can gather, you have some momentum, you can gather some speed, and so example, and then just shoot it. What defensive positioning is this? My gosh. Okay. So our guys decided to, let's not gap up. So at the very least, okay, so they decide not to gap up. Instead, they decide to give up all the space in the world. And let them shoot. Nice. I mean, it's a good shot. That's no doubt about it. Well placed, beat Cliff from distance, but talk about making life easy for the opponent. Alright, here's one. Kathy was able to get it, and right here I think the play is to send it back to Alex, and then we kind of all join up together. However, he decides to skate up into the opponent. Oh, sorry, not Alex, Ernest. I don't know, is it no faith in Ernest? But definitely it's also on me for should have sent it back to Ernest rather than sending it up like this. But once we had kind of firm control right here, definitely a reset would have been nice. And then it would also be nice if Mike's not at the blue line and he's back here. But you know, we can't have a perfect world here. And right, you can see Ernest was in a really good spot to have been ready. So that's unfortunate. Now we gotta play defense. Let's see. Oh, fucking fanned on it. Luckily we were able to get it back and get it over to Mike, and then Mike does Mike things and scores a goal. Nice. Alright, we're gonna witness a very painful forecheck pressure. So center goes for the change, and then Kathy's going in for the forecheck with a bit of pressure. Her wing partner is nowhere to be seen, and their defense is not gapping up. So let's kind of watch the pain ensue. Oh my god. Let's just watch this one more time. Ready? Look at this stellar defense. Oh man, have we witnessed such defensive prowess. Oh my goodness. Alright, we've talked about this in the past for D, but if sometimes we don't watch other notes. Alright, so to recap, if there's ever a puck coming up the boards, when do you want to decide to pinch or not to pinch a defenseman? Is if there's a 50-50 chance. If you're going to be a 50-50 chance, you're going to need to commit to it. So Alex goes over there, he does not commit to it. So it needs to be 50-50. If you can get there, if you have a good confidence you can get there at the same time as the other player, or a good confidence that you can beat them to it, that's when you pinch. In this case, it was 50-50, but Alex does not commit. So there was a bad pinch. And he just backs up like that. And And so if he's not going to do that, he should be backing up much. Gap up, then back up. But he kind of goes there, stops. And if you're going to do that, close up the boards. Get your body up against the boards. Don't let him chip it past you. So multitude of mistakes right here, and they get it out. It was okay because we get control back, but that is a mistake right there. So here's actually another example for Eng. Does a good job. Escape turn, brings it back behind the net. Excellent job. Right here is he should have been able to see Liam as that center option. Obviously, oftentimes you kind of get nervous because we crap on each other for pizzas, but you know, if the center is doing a good job, these kind of passes should be pretty simple and straightforward, and it's just picked up. Now it's obviously going to be on the player as well to get a good pass, but kind of an example where we're sending it up, and it does kind of set Justin up for a bad time if number 8 was on top of it, where just an easy interception and we're back in the zone. Versus you did good job escape turning, and you could have just set up Liam for a good pass, like just an area. Like it doesn't even have to be tape to tape. If you do a good job with the area pass, little soft little chip where you can skate into it, it's enough. So something to kind of think about. I may be able to find more examples. All right, for check wise, again we're trying to cut that ice in half, so you can discourage them from going into the middle, close off any passing lanes. So for Claire, she should probably going to be more over here-ish, just based on how their position, like their team is positioning. And Justin wants to close off those boards as Liam is leading up towards him. Let's kind of watch. Shoot, the camera's panned away. So Liam kind of went this way and dipped away, versus I think it should have been out and then dipped and pressure this way, so you're kind of driving him towards Justin. Now unfortunately Justin gets walked around, and of course this player was their other kind of ringer, and you can kind of see the skill difference between us and him. And again, here's another example of why don't we just let them walk into the zone. They like free, just absolutely free, and Cliff makes the save. Alright, so we have a tough time getting it out of the zone. Would be nice to take it behind the net, but here's the pressure. Forechecking pressure is just way too much. Sends it back down low. We should be able to gather this up. No pressure. Okay, maybe a little bit of pressure, but we can look for the outlet pass up the middle, up the boards, and Ernest decides, why don't we just give it away behind the net. Sketch, maximum sketch, and then we're able to chip it out. Now, I think another concern is the moment we get the puck, I think we're a little high for Claire, and it's probably going to be a common theme for some of our wingers, is off the boards and high, and it's really going to be putting ourselves in a position where their D can always step in and intercept it pretty easily. So obviously it gets a little silly at some points where you see their ringer comes in, and then here's the other ringer, 27, and we're all just saying ringer because of the skill difference between our average crew and them. And the best part is this guy, I remember he's like screaming, he's like, I got it, and he's hustling, absolutely hauling ass. Oh gosh, you know, right? A lot of free zone entries. Now, obviously, I can understand the hesitation with their speed coming in and being able to gap up. That's understandable, but you can kind of see over and over again the common theme right there. All right, that's good. I like that. I'm just very curious as to, we have some sort of fixation towards going cross, like the furthest diagonal pass you can think of through multiple sticks, versus center lane. I don't know. It's very interesting. Why go through multiple sticks and put the person in a tough spot versus here? I'm confused. And anyways, all right, for check here, maybe a little bit of miscommunication. So we've kind of said before, the first one on the puck, well, first one on the forecheck should be cutting that ice in half and discouraging them from going in the middle, and then driving them up towards the boards, up the wall. And then the second one falls in and carries over the boards. Now, here's a miscommunication. We see that Kathy's just going straight like this and not being the shepherd. And so the decision was to turn in and start to discourage that middle. But we can see how Kathy also turns in, and that's kind of where it being late. And now we no longer have this being closed off. So that's kind of sucks. But you know, that's certainly something we can work towards over time. All right, in terms of gapping up, Ang, you're doing a pretty good job, getting better each week at it. So no free zone entries here, and he forces a an offside call, just being, you know, getting good gap control and putting pressure on that blue line. So definitely getting better at it. Now, one weakness with Ang is he's got that good gap control, but he's doing too much. Let's say, so he gets the poke check, but he doesn't kind of maintain that backwards momentum. Obviously, it's hard to do. We all kind of, it's a struggle. It's something we're going to work towards, but you can see how it ends up kind of putting in the structure where it falls down. And the only problem is, if, like, let's say you miss that poke check, if they chip it past you, you just won't have that speed, and they can kind of get around you. You'll be caught flat-footed. So it's something to work on, but definitely Ang's, like, this is a perfect example of him. Like, this is way getting pretty good at this. And then yeah, so we were saying how their ringers were putting a lot of effort in. Claire has the puck, and then boom, their ringer comes flying down for like the one knee diving block, but fortunately it gets bounced over to Liam. Fairly interesting to see this. Alright, there's an offside call right here. Justin says no. Videotape, hard to say. I would say it shouldn't be an offside. That's alright. I can see how they're gonna call it. So remember, we got a straddle. Definitely got a straddle. Yeah, that shouldn't have been enough offside. Whatever. Can't argue it. Alright, so this is an unfortunate play right here. Their player is come roaring in, and then Liam gets absolutely decked out by number 8. Wait, is that not offside? Hold on, let me see. Nope, not offside, but Liam gets decked, and then Cliff gets sniped on from distance. So their shots were accurate and good. So that's tough. Alright, we're about to see some defensive mistakes right here. So sent around behind the net, and we intercept it, and we're on the breakout right here. Should be. Unfortunately, it gets poked off right here. And the problem now remains is we're forgetting that there is a forward on that opposite corner. And Ang gets drawn over a bit too aggressive. Not necessarily a problem, but right here again we're forgetting that backdoor, and then now we're in big trouble because should have been able to recover. All we need to do is make sure we contain them, keep them on the outside, and tie up bodies rather than trying to poke it out. So we're kind of in the in a panic mode, and so Ang gets caught again too aggressive and is now on a flyby, right? So he's past it, and kind of we're caught up together. So that's tough. And then Alex gets absolutely dangled out of his pants. And here is the problem child, the backdoor play. Now that shouldn't have ever happened, because let's say puck gets lost here. That's perfectly fine. We should have been in a really good position with, we had got 2 to 3 bodies back behind the play. Shouldn't have been a problem. But then when we have one flyby, one deked out flyby, and going around, right? That's a problem when we have 2 bodies in front and now 2 bodies behind. So tough goal to let in. I'd say this one's the first one that is a pretty clear mistake. The first goal was no, actually the first goal was a mistake. Second one's kind of, I don't think it was too big of a deal. This one is probably a bad one too. Now we're about to see the best goal in Tumblebees history. Easy assist for Liam. Face-off win. Ernest just bunks it off the boards and it rolls in slowly, and then we just hear Justin go, yeah, across the whole rink, seeing it roll into the net. Yeah, it's, you know, it's Ernest's first goal of season that I wouldn't have expected anything else for his first goal. Some more examples. Free zone entries, right? The gap is not there. Now this one may be a unique situation because there's bodies, but still free zone entry, and then I don't know what's up with that pivot right there, and just absolutely walked. Otherwise, here's another example for the wingers. So off the wall, we can see off the wall. So one, the breakout's going to be tough, and then part 2 is also going to be tough when our defense just hucks against a lot boards and it's up in the air and bouncing. But that's a secondary. So one of the things we talked about, because we're off the wall and combined with the defense hucking it up the boards, oftentimes we're going to be late to it, and you're going to end up kind of being high along the boards. One of the things we can try to combat it is actually going to be gathering it and skating back down low. So you can skate back this way, and then if there's space, you can turn up ice. But the other hope is that when you're gathering it up and facing down the ice, if the defense is positioned well, a pass out with a lead pass should set it up for a good, like, out the zone pretty quickly. So that's kind of one thing. Rather than, like, you can see how Claire's just trying to clear the zone. That I don't like as much, because you get it out, but you're still giving possession back to them ultimately, for the most part. So usually, fortunately, we're kind of able to get right. Still, even then, it's kind of lost possession. So one example. Gotta roast Justin a little bit. What happened? Oh, tape to tape. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Usually your passes are pretty on the ball. But okay, so that pass didn't work out quite well. Let's walk through or checking. A little bit awkward structure. Like, I think I would have preferred Liam to be the one putting pressure in, but you know, that's fine. Claire's going in, and if she's coming out this way, that's perfectly fine. So now, watching body language, like positioning for Justin, he sees, okay, if Liam is over here, his job is now needs to close off that middle, right? And so don't get too fixated on that forecheck. Don't get too fixated. If you're left wing, right wing, whatever, center, it's all gonna be kind of flexible. So if Liam's over here, which kind of effectively is gonna be trying to block off this, so nobody's in this area, so then Justin's got to be the one that needs to do that. It's kind of, we're a little bit less than ideal in the position right here, but someone's got to close off that middle pass. And so with that trailing player, it's probably should have been Justin. And unfortunately, exactly as it plays out, right? So we gotta roast Kathy a little bit here. Big opportunity. Breakaway. She said on the bench, "Oh, I feel bad for the goalie. She looks so new. I didn't want to deke her out." Well, you know what, Kathy? Because you feel bad for her and didn't want to deke her out, you lost the opportunity to score a goal. Alright, face off, win to Mike. Sends it back down low. Bouncy pass off the skate of the ref. Right into the magic spot for Liam. And scores it 5-hole. Alright, forecheck. Again. I feel like something we're gonna work on. Again, we're trying to shepherd them, cut the ice in half, cut the ice in half again. So if he's going this way, we've got to encourage it that way. Or if he's on the other side, if there's a way to funnel him towards the boards this way, is preferred. But we get an interception. Yeah, forechecking still needs a little bit of work. Right here, pretty good position for Claire. You're in a really good spot. Unfortunately, she tries to send it off for a pass. I think you missed an opportunity to shoot right there. Would have been a good spot. And then their ringer that was another ringer that was trying hard. All right, defensively again, a little bit free zone entry, but that's okay. I want to see the recovery rate here. A lot of bodies. Front of the net. Mike's behind the net. I don't know why he's behind the net, but puck outs in front. Okay, fine. Justin, I understand why you were down there, so I won't give you too much flack for this one. I thought this was hilarious. So puck gets in the slot, and Alex needs like 14 business days to process what to do with the puck in front of Cliff. Yo, man, get it out of there. Get it in the corner or something. Just don't, please do not just stand there with the puck like this. Oh my goodness. You gave the puck away, but like, yeah. If you really, like, you don't know what to do with it, if you ever find yourself with a puck in the slot, get in the corner. That's kind of like, if you're like, you need to panic, you're panicking hard, you can get in the corner. So you can just kind of treat it as if goalie made a save, they deposited the rebound in the corner. And then we can kind of settle down right there. If you really don't know what to do, that's a good way to do it. But if we can, start skating it out, look up for a pass. Definitely don't just stand there like that. Let's continue watching. Again, here you can see examples where we finally get the puck and wingers are off the boards. We're not even like, okay, so one choice is get close to the D, and then yeah, okay, so one example, lost a little bit of a push and shove there. So we're hemmed in the zone right here. Let's see how we can get it out. Get to the boards. Oh, pass couldn't quite. So, it's, I think here's another example where wingers are off the boards, right? So getting passes off those boards is going to be tough. We're just not, as a defense, you're just not sure how to pass it. Versus if you're closer, you can bank it. You do a lot of trickery around there. And kind of same thing with Claire. Yeah. Alright, here's another example. So Kathy is along the boards, but the time she gets it, it's kind of late. And I have said in the past, at the limit is that red line. But again, here's another example where just put in a position where it's so easy to get pinched on. and it closed off. Boom, right there, interception, and they've kept it in the zone. Versus one strategy is to actually skate down into it and then come up. And if we have the center does a good job, it should be a pretty simple pass out. Or option number two, stop it hard along the boards and then look for the pass. So should have been pretty simple. Unfortunately, we kept it down into the zone, and then the player shoots the puck. Now, I guess our defense are moving out of the zone a little too early, and we messed the person out front. Now, it looked like it just beat Cliff. It wasn't tipped or anything. It's detective work. Let me zoom in. Pretty hard shot. 5-hole. Just went 5-hole on Cliff. That's a tough one. Did not get tipped. 5-hole underneath his pads and into the net. That's a tough goal. So this is my bad. We had to line up on the face-off. Ray went off for a change. Liam came on. And I heard stay on. He needs a, I thought Justin needed a longer break. Because I thought I was switching with Liam. And Justin didn't come off for Ray, right? So I was a little confused. So at this point it was just 40 seconds left, so I figured, okay, well, if he needs a break, I'll stay on, right? Unfortunately for me, I guess, after the period was over, Justin comes and shakes his head at me, and with his hands out, I was like, oh fuck, okay, I guess you didn't need a break. So oops, my bad, I didn't realize. We were talking a nice visual example for a stark difference on someone that's working really well on doing gap control and someone that is just super passive. We got two prime examples right here. My goodness. Now, this is a perfect example of where I said Aang is too focused on that blue line, and then where it is important to do that if you can, but if you're too focused on it, and obviously I make the same mistake a lot, we all do while we're trying to learn this skill, is we can get beat quite easily around. And so there's Aang being beat around, but what I like is he has the gap work is really there. Obviously every so often we're gonna get beat, but it's just way better than giving up all the space and being all the way back here. Something that, let's say, the other defensive partner, D-pairing of Aang and Mike, were doing. They're just giving up way too much space. You know, there's the fear they're gonna get beat, but you're getting beat anyways. They're just coming into the zone. So yeah. Alright, here's another example where Aang's doing a good job gapping up, and then Alex just says, nah, you know what, let's come on in. The water's warm. You can come into the zone, no problem. Scramble in front. But I think it looks like Cliff makes the save. Alright, for checking. We'll do it again, we'll talk about it. So, puck into the zone. Who's the shepherd and who's cutting it off? So, it should be Ray getting over to the boards, closing off that option, and then closing it down. And then Kathy's going to be coming in behind. So, cutting that ice in half, discouraging from coming to the middle. And then basically shepherding him up towards Ray. And then myself is going to be closing off that middle for any passing options up the middle. So what do we see? Ray decides to go straight at them rather than closing off those options, and so easy out. But Mike's able to get it and throw it right at the ref. And he gives him the stare. Oh gosh. Yeah, interesting. Alright, Pass over to Alex, perfectly fine. And he decides, why don't I give him a pizza pass? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You want to see the biggest penalty in the world that didn't get called? Alright, watch. Claire's coming in, Aang's over there, and then watch Aang. What the fuck was that? That's horrible. That's horrible. So we were saying on the bench, does this guy look a little bit like Chinelli on the ice? And then watch his patented one hand boom backhand shot. I would think it looks a little bit like him, no? Alright, another common theme, right? Example, puck, and then wingers late to it, and so they're high up, right by the blue line. And again, one way to combat it is skating towards it and down a little bit and then up. You can do a pass up, but again, always going to be in that position where easy to get picked off and pinched on. And then following up like that, I was saying before how our wingers are off the boards, and then we know our D like to huck it against the boards, and then so because we're off the boards, we're not able to stop it, so it's just going to keep rolling up to the D. And they're late to the puck, and we're back on defense all over again. So simple positioning that needs to be fixed. Yeah. Alright, so now everyone was up in arms about this one not being offside. Okay, the ref said it was on the blue line, so it is what it is. And then he gets sniped on. Tough. So, Ray, why you skate away from it? Okay, and then they come in. Gotta play to the whistle, so come on in, water's warm. If they're not gonna blow the whistle, they're not gonna blow the whistle. What makes you think they're gonna blow the whistle later? Right? So they get to score a goal. Alright, there's a whole sequence of events that was just big problems, and we'll kind of break it down. So Kathy fans on it, passes it out, that's fine. A little bit late, right, to the party, but that's okay. But fortunately, the player is right there, and I couldn't get a pass up to Mike. He's all closed off. And then, yeah, if we were able to get a Ray, it would be nice, but unfortunately, it gets sent back down. Not a problem. Should be pretty simple, right? And so Ernest loses the foot race and gets beat, and he's falling behind the net. So therefore, what makes sense is we need help because Ernest is behind the play, right? Number 2 can do a wrap. So what we would normally expect is between the 3 of us, who's the closest? So there's going to be our defense, so Mike and Ernest, and the center. We're going to act as 3 defensemen, essentially. So when you see like that, we need to do a swap off, and Ernest should be coming back to recover back in front of the net because he's being beat, right? Unfortunately, he continues going behind the net. And so the problem now is number 4 is left wide open. And because Mike is covering the trailer, which is I'd say that's the correct play. And no one's able to identify number 4 as a late one coming in, then we're in trouble. Now, played perfectly. If Ernest didn't fall behind the net, I think ideally it should have been coming out to number 4, and then so I go and play number 2. However, because Ernest kept with him, it's also on me. I should have thought, okay, well, as long as he's not doing a wrap, I can stop right here and then turn back around and cover 4. So, yeah, it's a tough one. I'm pretty unhappy about this one. Now Liam was able to one-man show Boom, deke out, walked around. This guy's fallen and rebound and bang it in. Nice goal. And then unfortunately after this goal, they score it back. So what was wrong? Let's go see. Common theme perhaps. Did they get a free zone entry? Let's do the whole checklist. Did they get a free zone entry? Boy, sure did they ever get a free zone entry. Alright, are we sticking with the player? Oh, okay, Aang, you're doing okay. He's bigger than you. He was able to get around you with speed. So you got caught flat-footed. Just pay attention to this player and Aang. So gaps up, that's fine. And then you just gotta, okay, so got a little bit slow. Gotta stay in front of him if you can. But go with the checklist of free zone entry. Well, talk about he's got free admission the whole way. And no pressure. Oh my god, come on, put some pressure. Oh. Anyways, that's the game-winning goal. Alright, a minute 15 left. They bring out their two ringers out. Let's see. For checking pressure. Okay. Keeps it back. Stretch pass. Yeah, another stretch pass. Not an icing. So, need a little bit of urgency here, Alex. 30 seconds left. Alright. 20. Oh. And then, yeah, it's tough. Uh, 7. Knocked down. What is this? Aang's just getting bullied by everyone this game. 7-6 loss. You can see there was. It was a tough game. I'd say this was not our best game.